Hey, how you doing? I want to do a real quick video here about the Kubota bx24 and 25 transaxle unit that has a problem with the rear carrier posi lock breaking off. I just want to give a little quick advice on those folks that are trying to do this at home like me and doesn't want to pay the dealer, you know, $10,000 to take this apart. The posi lock unit, which actually is right here. You can see this little lever right here, and that's when you step on that lower pedal, that actually activates the locking unit inside the differential. And when that goes bad, you need to get this big unit out of the back of it, which you can see here. But on the videos online, I couldn't really find anything. And looking at the owner's manual, you know, that's pretty hard to go through. But a couple things that I did that I kind of messed up myself online from watching it is the online tutorials. There's a guy that has a video on there that, you know, goes over and explains everything. And it shows that he takes off this one bar right here, which is nearly impossible to get off. You see, I had to cut mine right here and heat it. It's galled on there. It's a nightmare. But you don't have to actually take that off there. There's this big unit on the back that you can take off, that actually you'll see on the back of your tractor that goes in there. This unit will all come out off the back of the tractor. You slide it back off. You have actually, you can see the engine crane here on mine, and this unit is stuck under this unit here. So this all comes off as one. Once you get all those bolts off and get it supported, don't worry about trying to take this axle off here. Now, another thing that I did that I didn't need to do is it has these mounts. It has these mounting bolts on the back here. So if you look under your tractor, you'll see there's this huge mounting bracket. Then on the front, there's a huge mounting bracket that goes on the front also. And that is right there. You see that bracket right there. You do not need to take that off. This has two side bolts that go through, and they go through here. And this whole, or maybe these two bolts, and this whole unit will slide back, and then you can take this off here. Now, one thing that I didn't do that I messed up on and I'm regretting now, when my unit broke, it actually cracked out of the bottom of the case on the transaxle, and it was leaking fluid out because the little pins that you'll see online break off and then they get stuck under the differential and it cracks out. So I took that out, I grinded it inside, and I JB welded it, and that was holding. But when I first started this, I took off this whole unit trying to figure out how to get the actual differential out. You do not need to take off anything on the front here. What you need to do is you need to take this thing to the side here. Let me just turn this around here for you. Okay, this is the right side of the tractor, or the passenger side. You can see this housing here that goes around in these bolts here. That is what you need to take out and off to access the differential, which is inside there. Now, the differential is once you get this will come right out. This goes in with a sleeve and some bearings, just like a regular axle. And there's some other parts. You just got to be careful taking this apart. But the differential does not just come right out. The differential is inside here. And there's this posi lock rod right here. This rod goes through and it has a fork. And as that turns, that fork goes in and out and engages a gear into the other side of the differential. Now, what I did, like a dummy, I hammered this and hammered it, trying to get this to slide through to get the differential out. And I mushroomed it out and I cracked the housing right here. And I had to JB weld and redo it and O-ring it. It still leaks, not all the time, but it still definitely leaks. If this thing, which almost guaranteed when you go to take this fork out, you take this off, this fork supposed to slide through, is going to be stuck. Once you get it loose, I would cut it off and then drill a little hole in the middle and peen it through and just buy a new fork and unit. They're only like 30, 40 bucks. So that's going to save you a lot of time. So what's going to happen is once you get this all apart, don't take any of this front off. The unit to get the axle and the differential out is inside here. Once this unit comes off here, you'll see that the ring and pinion gear, because it goes right in here, goes right in here, goes through a couple gears, and then there's a ring and pinion in there, and that thing will be stuck in there because that fork is caught up inside there, and I'm going to show you here in a second what it looks like. Okay, so this little part right here, what you see is a total disaster, is the part that goes on the actual axle. It's actually inside this gear like this. There's a little tiny fork that actually engages these pins, and you'll see it online. There's little pins, and that fork locks this pins in, and the pins, which are about this big, is what breaks off and goes inside the differential. This is actually the ring and pinion gear. And you can see if I show you right here, let me get in the light here. Inside there, I don't know if you can see how mangled up that is, but those pins get caught inside there, and there's the engagement ring right there. The pins are on this, the fork is on the outside. The pins actually go through right here. The pins actually go through like this. When you engage it, they go in here. The pins stick out here. They go through, they stick out, and they engage in this one and lock this other axle in through these holes. But because the pins broke off, you can see it actually broke the entire housing. It totally scarred the inside of this and broke these gears. And this entire setup right here, not included, if you don't ruin the ring gear, is $500. So you can buy that through a variety of venues online. Now, the key thing to getting that apart is getting the fork and the engagement of that posi lock lever out of there without ruining the case. So my advice to you is the guy online used a brass hammer punch, which I didn't have. Like a dummy, I hammered the crap out of it. It mushroomed out, and when it went back through the case, it broke the case. So not only did I have to fix the bottom of the case, which you can do with JB Weld, it's pot metal, so it's not that easy to do. I had to grind it top and bottom. I don't know if you can see on here, but I had to grind up underneath the case. I had to grind inside the case. I JB welded both sides, and then I had to redo the hole that the posi lock goes through, which is out over here. So this is going to be the hardest part right here. Once you get this all, I mean, this getting out sucks, I'll tell you. This is going to be the important part. But you do not need to take this lever off that they show online, because that's going to be a really big problem. Now, what I did was I took this front case off and misaligned something. So my tractor now won't go into four-wheel drive. That's why I'm taking it back apart to refix that. So I'm going to post this video online. Hopefully it helps some people. I'm going to give you a good look at what this looks like and what you need to take apart. There's the brake lever, the drive shaft. There's a bolt that goes through the drive shaft. This is the front drive shaft for the front axle right here. This just slides on. This has a bolt, but there is a hydraulic line here, which is hard as hell to get. There's a hydraulic line here, and then there's 3 hydraulic lines on the front. So once you get all the wiring back off it, which is actually pretty easy to do, you take out the side rails, which you see here. These are the side rails right here, which are actually pretty easy to do. Don't drop them because they're super heavy. You get the seat and the whole unit off there. And then this unit will slide out fairly easily. Now I know how to do it. It's actually, it took me about 3 or 4 hours. Last time it took me like 7,000 headaches to get out. So this is what it looks like. Take a good look at that if you guys want to see what you need to disconnect, because there's not a lot of good pictures online. They do have a manual you can get online, but the pictures are terrible. You're going to need to take off. It shows taking off this stuff to get the plastic off, but my bolts were so messed up I had to actually cut part of my plastic to get it off. So let's take a look here. And this is what it looks like. This is the side of it right here. These are the bolts that you need to take off all the way down around here. All the way down around. You take off this rear mount to get that off. You have to take that off. And then this whole unit will come out. And then that will enable you to actually take this axle off and access it. This is actually the brake lever right here. It's like a clutch engagement on the brake. So that's basically the long and short of it. And you can ask some questions in the comment section if I can help you out, or I do have the manual. Maybe I can send you some pictures, but the pictures in the manual are very vague and very hard to look at. You don't have to take any of the levers off, which I took them all off last time. It created a lot more work for myself than I needed to. And then at the very bottom on this side, there is a hole, I don't know if you can see it at the bottom there, that this screen and this filter goes through. And when you take this out, that's how you drain all the fluid out of the bottom. And there's a little pin that holds that in there. So believe me, take out the fluid, because there's about a gallon and about 3 more gallons or 2 more gallons. And if it goes on your floor, you're going to have an ice skating rink. So that's what it looks like right there when you pull the unit out. All right, well, good luck. And if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.